This program is recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. The audio for this program can be heard on WRFP LP 101.9 FM.
It's time to start the Waterways and Parks meeting. We have a new member tonight, Meredith Ball. Welcome. Thank you for volunteering. If you push the red button on this, your microphone will work. You can see that the light is on your microphone when it's working. Usually when we have a new member, they tell us a little bit about themselves. Would you mind?
No, that's fine. My name is Meredith Ball. My husband and I moved here 5 years ago from Alabama. He works at the university. He's a professor of creative writing. He's a writer. BJ Hollers is his name. And I am a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old named Henry and a 2-year-old named Eleanor, and they are a handful. And yeah, I was a teacher. I taught middle school in Alabama, and I taught 1 year at McDonald Area Catholic Schools while we've been here. And most of the time I've been at home with the kids. So, and I also have a school counseling degree. That's, I guess, me.
Okay. Did you request Waterways and Parks when you put your name in the volunteer pool, or just any
I was
commission?
actually asked to apply, and specifically for Waterways and Parks,
Okay.
by one of the city council people.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so that's kind of why I decided to do it. So.
Okay, welcome.
I also
Thank you.
live in the Putnam Heights neighborhood.
Okay. Okay, thank you. The first item on the agenda for tonight is approval of the September 28th meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes from anyone? It looks like no. Can we get a motion and a second to accept the minutes?
So, second.
David and Joshua seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. We have one item on new business. Recommendation on accepting the sculpture tour.
Good evening.
People's Choice Award.
Phil's on vacation, so I can present this to you folks as well. The sculpture tour annually, there's a People's Choice Award, and it's typically dedicated to one of our parks or in front of a business or other locations as well. This year, the East Hill Neighborhood Association made a plug for the winner. Maelstrom was the sculpture that was the People's Choice. That's the one in front of the Smiling Moose Deli, if you're not familiar with that piece. And the East Hill Neighborhood made a contact with the sculpture tour folks and said we'd be happy to have it in Boyd Park. Of course, we would be happy to have it in Boyd Park as well. However, when the agenda went out was published last Wednesday, their board of directors meeting was Thursday. The director of the sculpture tour assumed that it would be a fairly simple process to say, Boyd Park is a great place for it. However, the sculpture tour board of directors, after meeting Thursday, do not have consensus as to if Boyd is where they want to see it, that piece's final destination. So they postponed. Apologizing with the agenda was published. We really couldn't change the agenda. So there's really no decision to make, or really no recommendation for tonight on that.
Good.
I'm sorry.
So we have nothing to do with that. So we can move right into special events.
Yeah, and the special events update is always attached to the agenda. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those for you as well, or any other comments that you may have. But it's been a busy year again. Our special event numbers are, creep up over 100. This was the year where the application process was streamlined. Some of the events can be approved administratively with the special events committee rather than going all the way through council. I we're hearing, you know, favorable results with some of the events that you know, we were hearing the application process is quite cumbersome sometimes, but getting good reviews on that. So the work we did, you know, and sat down and took, you know, had a listening session with special events folks. That went well.
Okay, do you happen to know anything more about the Run Santa Run December 4th that was gonna maybe have a route change because Water Street businesses?
Right. There was a request to, Water Street Business District wasn't real enthused about that. I'm not quite sure why, but they had mapped out a reroute, and they were at council just Monday night, and spoke to that. There was contacts made with the churches that are affected on their route, so they wouldn't be infringing on Sunday morning services and things like that. But actually, that was Tuesday nights, and everything seemed to be fine with that package. So that event will be running through more of the Barstow Street and using our trail, you know, the central part of our trail, and not really encroaching on the Water Street
Okay,
district at all. But that was approved.
okay. Any other comments or questions on the special events?
I just have a question on the deer management program, and has that been tweaked a bit for this upcoming year, or is it the same as?
The deer management program. We had a survey last February. There was a deer census or a survey done again. Yeah. I'm glad you asked, Tom. We had noted that the numbers again were higher than that social carrying capacity typically is. And the council then had there was a resolution before council to that recommended ways for us to manage this deer herd. One of them being a managed hunt on the city wellfield property. The deer herd on the city wellfield property in 2015 was 54 deer per mile square. In February of this last year, of 16, it was 45, far above that 10 to 15 deer carrying capacity that is tolerable. And there's the Eau Claire Archery Club approached us to facilitate a managed deer hunt for disabled and youth starting this weekend and in the first week in November. 4 dates. We were issued 16 tags, special tags from the Department of Natural Resources, and we in turn gave them to the Eau Claire Archery Club to issue to disabled and youth hunters. Hunters that are participating in that event have to have their Wisconsin archery license. However, they won't be using that particular tag. It's one of these special management tags that they'll be using during the hunt. There'll be 43 acres. There's 43 acres in the wellfield property that's set up for the hunting zone. There'll be 4 blinds on that 40-acre parcel, and the hunters will be chaperoned, and those with varying disabilities will be mobilized into those blinds, and the chaperone will stay with them. The details of their hunt will be from daylight to, say, 11 o'clock, break for lunch, and then perhaps a nap, and then or whatever, and then come back in the afternoon to hunt in the evening. We have sent a direct mailing to all abutting property owners that abut the well field. We sent a direct mailing to 83 residents. And then the archery club volunteers went door to door and like Lawrence Avenue, that closer to that area where they'll be hunting, and informed the folks. We did a news release Tuesday to the local media outlets, social media, our webpage, and then we'll also be posting the grounds as well that notify people that there's a hunt archery hunting is in progress, and the dates are identified specifically too. We did this managing the hunt to try to consolidate the time that there's hunting in a short spurt, so we won't impact the well field, because a lot of people use that area for any number of reasons: dog walking, jogging, hiking, and skiing. And this way, there's 2 weekends where they'll be hunting in that parcel, but the rest of the fall and on into later this year, it'll be open to other use. it'll be placarded, the blinds are marked with blaze orange. It'll, if anybody's, happens to bypass a sign that notifies people that hunting's going on, they'll certainly be able to see the blinds. And we've got a few calls, mostly people that want to know how they can get on it and get the tags.
Sure, are the blinds elevated or?
Slightly elevated, and they're, they really didn't go in and build any platforms, but they are on elevated ground to the best degree that they could erect the blinds. They're not like your tree stands or anything like that.
There was a Half Moon Lake Task Force meeting. I was wondering if we could get a little update put in the director's report on when that happens, a little update on that meeting, put in the director's report under Half Moon Lake.
Oh, that'd be something you'd like to see, and
I
Okay.
think so,
yeah, that'd be,
even though
that'd
it's
be
a
fine. We
different
could-
group.
When the Friends of Half Moon Lake meet and the task force meet, we could certainly make sure that gets into
Okay,
the next month's
Okay.
meeting notes. What the outcome of that, when we talk to the water chemists and the scientists that are studying it, it's determined that at one point they thought the alum treatment was going to be a one and done. The amount of sawdust that's in the bottom of Half Moon Lake is tremendous, and apparently it's going to take more doses of alum. So we're looking at our capital budget over the next 5 years of every other year, adding, allowing for alum treatment. But and we will be scheduled for alum treatment again this spring, and of course after studies, and if they're determining that the amount of phosphorus in the lake is locked up or bound up, maybe we won't need to do it 2 and 3 years out. But eventually we'll hope to back off of that. But for the next 5 to 6 years, it'll be every other year. We're planning on alum if need be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good crop of Elodea. That's the native the vegetation that's desirable, but not in the quantities that we're seeing it. So we will be getting our harvester out of the mothballs and harvesting weeds again next spring too, based on when the Department of Natural Resources wants us to do that as well.
we do have in here that that the harvester is going to get serviced. But we did have the building on the lake for the harvester. Now we don't have that anymore, and it was just kind of shrink wrapped. Are we going to service it and just shrink wrap it, or do we have a place to put it?
Yeah, unfortunately,
don't
we have
have
a
a place to
serious
put it?
storage shortage in our
Okay.
system, and we really do. That building down there by Half Moon Lake was well utilized and served a good purpose. We'll be looking at, in our buildings and grounds department, we're looking at trying to solve that storage problem. And I think there's room to expand near the campus, the central maintenance campus, where there's a new building across the street that was erected about 2 years ago. That was built in such a way to be able to add on to that. My understanding is there's going to be a need for property acquisition because there's homes in the parcel next to it to make that happen. But in time, that's what the goal will be across the street, develop more cold storage. So, but we will. It's in Cadott actually. It's getting repainted and rehabbed, and we'll bring it back and shrink wrap it again.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on the director's report? We moved on to the director's report, I guess. And that's the last.
Seamless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you wanted it even faster than the rest. Oh, we have one more item on there. Usually we combine the November and December because of the holidays meetings into early December, which would give us for Wednesdays either December 7th or 14th if we do it in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we need to vote on which date we would like our next meeting to be. We usually do it early in December, so December 7th would be instead of November and instead of December, later, the fourth Wednesday in December. So does anyone want to make a motion on either one of those two dates?
I'd move that the November/December meeting be held on December 7th.
A second? Ron seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That meeting, and then,
Thank you.
that's the end of the agenda. We need a motion and a second to adjourn. Ron moves. Jason seconds. All in favor? Aye. We're done. Wow.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cbctv.org.